There are many reasons why people like to paint. I think some of the best ones are that painting allows us to connect with creative possibilities. When we paint, our minds engage in the artistic process, which lowers stress and makes us feel better and happy. Often artists who spend several hours painting or creating something enter a very strong state of concentration, and time can pass by very quickly. Painting teaches us to communicate in a different personal language, done in a relaxed environment. Making art enables us to connect with our artistic selves, ultimately creating harmony between the heart and the mind. I invited two of my students to my studio to do some painting and talk a bit about how creating art this past year has changed their lives. I was curious about Jean's feelings on the painting process.
You just touch something inside. You know, it's a different place than where you usually draw from. I mean, then there's no pressure. Then you just play and enjoy it. It's not setting expectations.
What was it like for you when you first started painting? Like, what drew you into the process of painting?
Well, it was just so enjoyable because I love color, and it was just seeing the color, focusing on the colors, and it just, because of that, it kind of frees up the rest of the brain that you've been using all the rest of the day.
Right. So did anything for you change in the way that you looked at the world, or when you went home, or how you felt during the week?
Well, you know what? I usually look at the world through a visual contact anyway. I because of the color and what I see. But what it did is it just freed it up.
Because of the positive connection with art, Jean decided to share creative joy with her daughter Jessica.
Just because I had so much fun, and I know she's very creative, and she doesn't always set that time aside for herself to do it. So I gave her a gift, and I hope she liked it.
I did. I was really excited. I thought it was great because, yeah, like she said, it's something that I would always be interested in, but I wouldn't go out of my way to actually buy it for myself or to do it myself. So then when it was a gift that I got for Christmas, I thought it was great.
Jessica feels art is an important part of her life and encourages her mother with creativity. What is it like creating with your mom? Did you know, is that like an interest? It's a new experience? Is that correct?
Yeah, it is. I think so. Like when I was a kid, we did art, but not as adults.
Yeah, not that much. But actually, she's been good for me because sometimes I'm indecisive of what I want to do, and she'll just say, "Oh, you're just not done yet. Just pour some more or something."
Sometimes you'll overthink it, and I'll say, just have fun with it.
Jessica has a creative background. As a child, her mother Jean nurtured creativity in their family home.
Like when I was a kid, we did art, but not as adults. Mom and I would always do art, my sister too, but she wasn't quite as, she was more into doing things outdoors, and we were more into doing artsy kind of things, so yeah, a little bit.
That's so
And she's always the one that tells me how creative I am, so I always hear it from her, so yeah.
And they kind of created their own language, and they built things, these Gundutmen, and they painted on them or drew on them, and I mean, they were always doing things. The birch trees would be using things. They would put cotton buds and pieces of wool because we had some sheep. They'd be putting things on them, decorating everything. It's pretty funny.
Nice. And were you replacing some of the energy that was going on, or are you just decorating the trees as a child? Do you remember doing that?
I think we were putting band-aids on the trees.
because they had owies.
Yes, exactly. They were bleeding, so they needed band-aids.
You know what? They learned to entertain themselves. We didn't have TV or anything, and they were never bored, not ever.
With creativity, if your mind is constantly full of images and thoughts and it's constantly being fed, then there's no time for boredom.
Yeah.
And if we never get bored, how are we supposed to have those aha moments?
Yeah, sometimes things need to quiet down a little
They
bit.
do, and I think that that's a big part of the creative process, is having the ability to slow yourself down, to relax, let your mind rest, and then all those connections will happen inside of your brain, and then you have that brilliant flash of inspiration.
That's a better way of putting it than I did. The first time I heard her say I'm bored.
Yes.
You say only boring people get bored.
Jessica, do you think that growing up in the country and your mother's creativity and encouraging you to be a creative child has helped you to become a creative person now as an adult?
Absolutely. Like, she has always done crafts and art, and like with her wool spinning, weaving, she would always knit and do weaving and
I dyed
all
the
those
wool.
kind of things.
We
She dyed the
collected
wool
stuff to dye the
herself.
wool with.
So it's always just part of life, I guess.
And as an adult now, do you feel that your upbringing and the way that you see things, you see the world, you see paintings, you're expressing yourself, does that bubble over into your everyday experience of the universe? And I'm not just talking about art, I'm talking about everything, and driving your car, you know, getting groceries,
I think so.
whatever.
You just notice like the beauty in things and just your environment and what's around you. You notice just more of the details, I would say.
But she also, I've caught her, well, because I'm driving, is framing things. You know, when we're driving, she's like,
I always
that
notice
would
what would make a good
because
picture.
I always,
something like that.
I said, you know, when you take a photograph, you look at everything, you know, not just the person, you look behind you. So we'd be driving, oh, that's a good shot.
That's
She's
wonderful.
doing this thing all the time, yeah.
That's wonderful. What are your future aspirations in terms of taking your creativity forward in your life?
Because it's definitely, I feel like it's good for your soul.
It is good for your soul.
Because it kind of slows down the thinking, and then you're just creating instead of thinking, which is sometimes really healthy.
Sometimes when you go somewhere creatively, it opens up new possibilities not only in an artistic sense, but in the way we perceive one another. Art is the great communicator.
But I guess
when
we
do talk artistically about colors and things, especially houses or balance and stuff, we seem to be able to connect more. We know what each other's talking about a little bit easier without me having to explain it so much, having taken this course together.
We both enjoy, although there's other things too, but it's something that we can both do together that's fun, and that's the only purpose, is just because it's fun and creative. This is just solely for the purpose of art.
And I think we know each other even a bit better because I know what she likes, what colors, and you know what she's attracted to, and I think she's learned like the differences that we like, and being able to appreciate that and taking everything into consideration.
Creating art isn't necessarily about creating a finished product or a decoration for the wall. Painting is a process. Maybe it is our connection with that process that brings us closer to ourselves and each other.